What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm finally able to update for you all my Black Rose Dragon deck. Now we got one very specific card that came in Blazing Dominion that really does take this deck up a level, and of course if you want to add in Harmonia, you can make it a little bit more competitively viable. But the card that I am talking about is going to be the Princess Dracaena, the First in Trees. Now, if you are a Predaplant enjoyer, like myself as well, that might have been the first thing you thought of when that card was revealed. However, my first thought was Black Rose Dragon because I just love the deck. And what this allows us to do is it now actually means that we can bridge Black Rose Dragon and Predaplants into one deck. Now, that isn't this deck, this is just Black Rose Dragon. But if you wanted to, I would be more than happy to bring you that Predaplant hybrid as well as a Predaplant build as well. Don't worry, haven't forgot about them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what we've got, explain why we've got it or why I've kind of chosen the routes that I've gone with, and then talk about stuff that you can change and give you a real in-depth guide as to what Dracaena adds to the deck and how it can really step it up a level as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Starting off with our best Rose Dragon in the main deck that is not a Starlight Rare, really annoying. But this is your starter in the form of the Rocks Rose Dragon. So on normal or special, you add a card that mentions Rose Dragon from the deck to the hand, except itself. While this card is in the graveyard, if a face-up Rose monster or monsters, or Rose Dragon monster, or a plant synchro monster you control is destroyed by battle on opponent's card effect, you get to add this card back to the hand. Then we have the paired up company of the Red Rose Dragon. So if it is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you get to special summon a Rose Dragon monster from the hand or deck, except itself. Then if it was sent to the synchro summon of a Black Rose Dragon or a plant synchro, you also get to add a Frozen Rose or a blooming of the Darkest Rose from the deck to the hand. Now, that's actually quite nice now that we've got the Princess Dracaena, that the Frozen Rose becomes a bit more important, because as long as you send a non-plant, you get to add a level 4 or lower plant monster from the deck to the hand, which will be your Dracaena. And the Dracaena is just an insane Foolish Burial extender. It extends from the graveyard. It can manipulate its level. It's like perfect for Black Rose. And then probably, in my opinion, right now, the most important Rose Dragon for the main deck when it is accompanied with another card. And that is going to be your White Rose Dragon. Now, the reason the White Rose is so important is that this is your only one that is a level 4, and it's the only one that is not a tuner. So this one works out with Dracaena probably just as more, if not more, than the rest. For the pure fact that if you're able to use your Dracaena, you send a plant from deck to grave, manipulate its level to become a level 3. You don't even need to use your normal summon because the additional effect of your White Rose is if you control a Dragon Tuner or a Plant Tuner, you special summon this card from the hand. You can then threaten to go into a Black Rose Dragon to nuke the field if you're going second, or you go into Bramble if you're going first. Putting the Dracaena into the graveyard, which means your Dracaena can extend should you want it to. But it also means that you've maintained your normal summon. So you can still use the normal summon of your White Rose Dragon, that when it is normal summoned, you special summon a Rose Dragon monster from the hand or grave except itself. So on top of that, this is ideal one of your good starters with Red Rose Dragon, because you go normal summon White Rose, grab your Red Rose, synchro into, again, Bramble, or of course you can go for Black Rose if you're going second, and then your Red Rose will trigger to get you access to Frozen Rose, which can get you into the Dracaena, which can also then get you into your Rocks Rose. So you can just so and see how everything starts to build and kind of speed up very, very nicely. The other effect to this card is if it's sent to the grave for the synchro material, you get to send a level 4 or higher plant from the deck to the grave. Not impossible that you're going to do that. We do play one level 4 plant monster, but more times than not, you don't actually need to do that effect. Moving on to the plant monsters themselves, we've got 3 Vengeful Witch. So if you control Black Rose Dragon or a monster that mentions it, or a plant synchro monster, you get to special summon this card from the hand. If it's sent to the graveyard and a synchro monster is on the field, you discard a card to special summon a plant monster with 1,500 or less defense from the deck. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except synchros, which is absolutely fine. And the one you're going to want to summon more times than not with its effect is the Twilight Rose Black Knight. Now you can play 2 copies of this card. I'm actually quite happy to just play one of it because it's one of these cards that I don't want to see it really. There are still ways that the Vengeful Witch can utilize it. The annoying thing is that it special summons a plant monster with 15 or less defense directly from the deck. So if you do see it, you can't summon this from the deck. But there are other plant monsters that we can utilize, especially when you're looking at your Princess Dracaena, that you can still get off of the back of the Vengeful Witch, so it's not completely dead and dumb. Your Twilight Rose Black Knight is while you control a synchro monster, plant monster you control gain 1,000 attack, earns each of fine effects once per turn. If it is normal or special, you get to special summon a Black Rose Dragon or a level 4 or lower plant monster from the graveyard, but its effects are negated. You can target one other plant monster you control, increase or decrease its level by 1. Now, this isn't our go-to level 3 that you send from the deck to the grave to manipulate levels, because again, like I said, you kind of want to keep this card in the deck. If you want to manipulate the level of your Dracaena to a level 4, you can go to with the Vengeful Witch. But remember, the biggest issue we currently have is that when you have that level 3 on that field, your level 3s more times than not are going to be your tuners, because you look at Red Rose, Rox Rose, and even your Twilight Rose, they're all level 3 tuners, and that's just not going to help you with the Dracaena also being a tuner. The other engine that I'm utilizing, and I kind of haven't decided which engine I prefer yet. So at this exact moment in time, I'm actually playing both of them. So I'm playing the Supay Duskwalker and the one Supay. Now the idea behind this one is it's a level 5 monster that you discard a card, special summon itself from the hand, and then you get to special summon the Supay from the deck. Now the reason this is so good in this deck is this allows you to get into a level 6, being your Rage Rose Witch, which ultimately ends up letting you send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, or plant synchro to be specific, and then you can also send a plant from the deck to the grave as well. So that could be quite useful, because you can also send your Dracaena. The only issue between these two is that these are spellcasters and fiends, so they don't actually help out in the additional synergy on that one. It's just another one of the ones that very early doors you can threaten to go cool, go into a 6. You could even send Glow Up Bulb, and then straight away you can use Glow Up Bulb's effect, bring it back to use your Rage Rose Witch plus your Glow Up Bulb and go into a Black Rose Dragon. And you would have sent your Garden Rose Maiden from the extra deck to the graveyard. So you'd go Black Rose Dragon, nuke the entire field, or Bramble. And then you've got your Garden Rose Maiden to banish and bring back a dragon should you need to. The other engine that I'm using, and I don't know if I want to go for one rather than the other, or still play 2. If you were to go for one rather than the other, you open up 4 slots in your main deck. Those 4 slots can very easily be 3 Harmonias, which obviously quite expensive to add to the deck, but it does give you that additional layer of aggression. It will mean you need to adapt the extra deck a little bit just by at least adding in 2 targets for your Harmonia. But it really does come down to you. So the other 4-card engine that I'm playing is the 3 Rose Princess and the 1 White Rose Cloister. Now, the Rose Princess is only you control a monster, you get to special summon this. Only if your opponent controls a monster, you special summon this card from the hand. If summoned this way, you treat this card as a tuner. Now, it's forceful to treat it as a tuner. It's not you can, which is quite annoying, but sometimes it happens. You can only special summon it once per turn, but you can also discard this card to add a White Rose Cloister. So this is a field spell that if you control no monsters, you get to special summon a Rose Dragon monster or a plant monster from the hand. You can only use the effect once per turn. And during your draw phase, before you draw, you get to declare 1 card type, monster, spell, or trap. Reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is the declared card type, apply the effect for the rest of this turn. Level 7 or higher synchros you control gain 1,000 attack. So the idea is that this is an extender that could be quite useful for you, but this is your level 3 plant monster that you can send from deck to the grave with your Dracaena, and then manipulate Dracaena's level to give you everything you need to. So this is just one of these ones where ultimately you could just play 1 Rose Princess, but I don't know if that's fully worth it yet. There might be some other plant monsters that are level 3s, and that's where the Predaplant Hybrid comes in a bit more, because it gives you a couple of different options you can utilize. And even if you don't want to lean fully into the Predaplant version, you can also very easily play like a very small Predaplant package. I think like the smallest I saw was something like 4 cards. So that kind of gives you an option to play around with. Anyway, that's kind of why I would be playing this. It's still a very nice extender. It's still a level 3 tuner, which kind of, again, works with the rest of the deck as well. It still means that you need that non-tuner to give you everything you need to, and your non-tuners you're going to be able to get away with will, of course, be your White Rose Dragon and, of course, your Vengeful Witch. So you still have the balance that you need. It doesn't really change a lot. And I just like the Supay ability to discard some of your cards that you don't mind being in the graveyard, and then being able to kind of set up your plays for synchros. Speaking of the card of the hour, I'm on 3 Princess Dracaena, the first in trees. Now, the reason I'm on 3 of this is that I don't mind opening it. It's one of the ones that, yes, you can search down the line, you can send down the line as well, but hard opening up this card is still very, very useful. So it lets you send a level 4 or lower plant monster from the deck to the grave except itself, especially on this card from the hand, and if you do, it becomes the sent monster's level. You can banish 1 plant monster and this card from the graveyard, special summon a dragon monster from the hand or grave. You can only use each effect once per turn. You can't special summon from the turn you activate this effect except dragon or plant, which is absolutely fine. But in the example that I mentioned earlier with the White Rose Dragon, this gives you back a level 4 non-tuner back to the field, which is really, really important depending on what you're trying to push for. So what I really like about this one is it has a couple of targets you can send, but you've also got a couple of generic options you can send. Like I've already mentioned, you've got your level 3s and level 4s that I've previously shown you. The other level 4 that we are playing is the Stay Sailor Ramarin. So this is a quick effect to target face-on monster you control, send one other plant monster you control to the grave, and if you do, the next time the target monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, it is not. But more times than not, you're going to use it for its additional effect. If it's sent to the graveyard via a card effect, you get to send a level 5 or lower plant monster from the deck or extra deck to the graveyard. So it's kind of like a Rage Rose Witch from the main deck, but it also gives you the ability to manipulate the Dracaena into a level 4, which sometimes can come up. Like if you've got your Rose Princess to the field, that's a way to get into a 7. But there are ways where you can try and work your way into a Synchro level 8. There are ways you can try and work your way into a Synchro level 10. You do have a different options should you want to try and go down that route. The other two plant monsters we've got is the one Spore, the Fairy Seed, and the one Glow Up Bulb. So Spore is if this card is special, you get to count the number of monsters you control and have this card gain up to that many levels. So this allows you to manipulate its level again to kind of open up the door to different Synchro options for you. More times than not as well, what you're trying to get the best of is if you control an Ancient Fairy Dragon or a light monster that is either Beast, Plant or Fairy, and this card is in your graveyard, you get to special summon this card. You cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros, which is absolutely fine. That's just how you get like a level 1 tuner back into rotation, and then you can manipulate its level. Glow Up Bulb is Glow Up Bulb. This is the only card you probably wouldn't play or you can afford not to play in Genesis. But very simply, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, special summon it. You only use that effect once per duel, but it's the level 1 tuner that you need, sometimes to get you into a Crystal Wing. Then for the final few cards that we're going to go through as we move on to our spells, is we've got 3 Black Rose Garden. So when it's activated, you add a Rose Dragon monster from the deck or grave to the hand. All face-on monsters on the field become plant. And if this card is destroyed, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each plant monster in your grave and banishment. Then if this card was destroyed by the card effect of Black Rose Dragon, inflict an additional 2,400 to your opponent. Backed up by 1 Basil Roshu and 1 Frozen Rose. I know in some builds you can play 2 Basil, but the idea is I felt that Dracaena kind of replaces that aspect of it and kind of does the job that you need to with the Basil, because the Basil lets you special on a Rose from the hand or grave in Defense Edition. And if the set card is destroyed, you get to target one of your Black Rose or a monster that mentions it, and it's banished in your graveyard and special summon it. And the Frozen Rose, as I've already mentioned, if you send a non-plant, you search out your Dracaena. You can search out any other plant monster you want to. But then if you do send a plant monster, during the end phase of the turn, you draw 2 cards, discard a card. So if you really do want to get that Dracaena to the graveyard because you've got too many tuners, you want to get a non-tuner, you could do it that way as well. And then for the non-engine cards, I've gone with 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, backed up by 3 Mulchummy Fualos and 2 Forbidden Droplet. If you feel that you need more non-engine, depending on the environment you're taking it to, Harmonia is one to go for. But with Harmonia, I kind of just felt that with Harmonia, the issue with it was a level 7 tuner. It does open up the door to some level 10 synchro plays, just because you have your level 3s non-tuners. But then the other ones it kind of opens you up to is level 11s, which there's only really one, being the Thunder God, that you'd kind of want to play. Other than that, I didn't feel that it was really worth it. But again, if you're taking it to the highest competitive environment, I would consider taking out one of your extension plays, whether that be the Supay and Dustwalker, or whether that be the Rose Princess, and then do it that way instead. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, we've got 2 Black Rose Dragon, pretty standard on the Black Rose lineup. 2 Bramble Rose. This card just looks amazing. That's kind of what I really liked about Black Rose in general, just like their cards look incredible. So Black Rose, everyone should know what that does. With Bramble Rose, each time your opponent activates a monster effect, inflict 600 damage to your opponent. And if you do, all monsters your opponent currently controls lose 600 attack. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, tribute this card, special on a Black Rose Dragon from the extra deck, and it is treated as a Synchro Summon. Banish this card from the graveyard to special on a level 4 or lower plant tune-up from the grave. I've gone with the 1 Black Rose Moonlight. This would be one of the cards you would kind of make way for in regards to getting a target in there for the Harmonia. In my opinion, I feel that it's the most flexible option. I just really like the card art, and I really like what the effect does. Then we've got 2 Rage Rose Witch. So, plant monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If it is Synchro Summoned, you get to send 1 plant from the extra deck and deck up to 1 from the main deck and the extra deck to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Synchros. And if a card or cards on the field is destroyed by card effect while this card is in the grave, except during damage step, special summon it back. 1 Garden Rose Maiden. Sometimes you can play 2. I own 2. I just don't, like, again, my brain would be like, no, I can't have two different. Anyway, so I play the one Lily Reaper. So if a monster or monsters is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard while this card is in the monster zone, even during damage step, you gain life points equal to one of those monsters. If your opponent takes effect damage while this card is in the graveyard, you get to banish it and send a monster from the field to the grave with attack less than or equal to the difference in your life points. So remember, when you've got your Bramble Rose kind of ticking away, and if you wanted to play the Queen of Thorns, I'm currently not playing it in this build, that would make the gap a lot bigger, but it's kind of an option for you. One of the Empress of Blossoms. So it gains 400 attack for each plant monster you control, except this card. During the main phase, special summon a level 5 or higher plant monster from your hand or grave in defense position. So it's just one of the ones that you get Rage Roast to the graveyard, using it as fodder for synchro plays, and then you just bring it back. One Zarlan, the Shackled Dragon. So it's a dragon, it's a synchro, it's a tuner. It ticks all the box, and it's the Omni negate. Well, responsive negate. FA Dawn Dragster. This is the only one, again, this would be one that you might argue to open up for that additional spot for the Harmonia, because this is the only one that is not a plant and a dragon. So it'll be very specific when you can actually summon this card. So that's something you do need to keep your mind open for. Going back to the dragons, got the one Bills, the Diabolical Dragons. I just feel that this can be very awkward in certain scenarios. The fact it just needs a Dart tuner, that there are ways where your Dracaena can actually go into this. So again, Dracaena being manipulated to a level 4 and then being able to send in your Stay Sailor. Or even you can send your Vengeful Witch as well. And then use that with your White Rose, gets you into a Bills, and just Bills can be very awkward for your opponent to try and deal with in certain scenarios. Again, it is a flex option though, that's something that a lot of people might consider. I'm trying to find my other options that I had to one side. Like the other options I used to use was Queen of Thorns and Ruddy Rose, but entirely up to you on that one. You can also play Gen X Return 0 as well. One Crystal Wing. And then for my only level 10, I play the one Chaos Angel. Again, it's not a plant, it's not a dragon, so you've got to be very careful when you lock yourself into that type of kind of summoning. And that's when you might want to consider Ruddy Rose, just so you don't have to worry about that. Or you can take this out and becomes a third target. But there are just some scenarios where you make a Chaos Angel. If you can make the Chaos Angel light and dark, it just gets a whole lot worse for your opponent to try and deal with. Especially in certain matchups, they just can't out this, like, unbreakable Chaos Angel in a sense, but I just like the idea of having that as an option. It's not necessary, it's just one of these ones that I'm still kind of finding the edges of which ones I want to go for. And like I said, if I wanted to take this up a notch and take it to the highest possible event I could go for, I would be looking to put in the Harmonias. I just think that they are that disruptive to your opponent, and it just gives you another hand interaction that you can utilize. And then if I want to open up even more space, I can consider stuff like Ghost Spells as well, so you can kind of reduce your consistency factor and like your extension factor and increase your disruption factor. So there's loads you can consider for that one. Anyway, that is pretty much it for the entire profile. Hopefully this will give you a bit of an idea on the update and how it looks like. I think it's been like I think it was like January the last time I updated this deck, which is wild to me, but you never know. Anyway, Dracaena, beautiful addition. And I love cards like this. And the reason I love cards like this is because it's not like brutally splashable in every deck around. It's splashable in plant and dragon decks. More so plant dragon decks like Black Rose and Predaplant. But it's also a card that is not crazy expensive right now. So if you do have if you think in the future you're going to play a plant deck or you're going to play a dragon deck, no-brainer. If you're a fan of Black Rose or even Predaplants, again, no-brainer. Pick them up while they're cheap, while you can. But the idea of what I love about this card is it helps you extend your plays. It helps you utilize synchro plays for decks, more so plants than dragons. Like dragons have loads of generic support, but more so with like dragons, they kind of want to utilize themselves. They either lock themselves into dark dragons or they make it a little bit more direct. But the other thing that I love about this is that it kind of forces you to play plants, because you can't splash it in just drag. You can't play. What I'm trying to say is you can't splash this in rockets, for example. So it kind of has that niche element or that niche kind of moment, which means that it's beautiful support for a lot of decks, a lot of rogue decks, rather than being, hey, it's splashable support that can be put in anything. It's like, no, you have to put it in specifically a deck that wants to utilize plants, but also dragons as well. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So great card to be added to the deck. I really, really like it. I'll see what other type of decks that you can put this with. I know obviously Predaplants, it's pretty standard on that one. I'm not sure how, I mean, technically you could put it into, and apologies, I don't know every plant deck off the top of my head, but you've got Morphages, that they could go, not morphages. Is it aromaseraphes? Aromages. Yeah, aromages, there you go, amorphages. Amorphages are the pendulums, I know. So they could be pretty cool in that one. Maybe, I'm just trying to think if you could utilize this in trap tricks, but I suppose it means you can't use the insects. Anyway, I'll let my brain tick in the background on that one. But yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see how creative you can get with this one. And I guess there'll be those of you watching this as well that have been very creative with it itself. So let me know what kind of creative concoctions you come up with utilizing this card. I just think it's a really cool card that I want to experiment with even more. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, the whole 9 yards. Until next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.